Everybody in the back hear me? If you can hear me, please raise your hand so we're good. Thank you. Appreciate it very much. Hi, everybody. My name is Eric Brockmire. I'll be your presenter this morning for this session. Before I begin, there is a few housekeeping things we must go over. The Wet Show extends its thanks to Hammerhead Trenchless for their generous support of this education's program. This is the last education program of the day, and you all be back on your way to your businesses and homes. Your feedback is appreciated. It really is appreciated. We can only improve this if you give your feedback. We encourage you to elevate this session digitally, or evaluate this session digitally this year by going to the menu in the Wet Show mobile app and clicking the session surveys option, and by scanning your QR code on the session rating signs in the hallway. Otherwise, you can fill out a paper form you received on your way in and return it to the room monitor on your way out. That is the person outside. Please return any pens you may have borrowed. Did anybody borrow pens? I didn't see any, but okay, cool. Attendees can download their certificate of completion. Did I skip one? Yeah, I did. Make sure you get your badges scanned before every session you attend. If you are not scanned in, you will not receive continuing education credit for that session. If you are attending back-to-back sessions in the same room, please go out and get the scan done between the sessions. Attendees can download their certificate of completion in the Registration Resource Center after the show. Keep an eye out for an email with instructions on accessing your certificate in the next few weeks. Finally, and most of all, most speakers have made their presentations available for download. You can access them by clicking on the session listing in the mobile app. Note that you must be logged into the app to access the presentation, or by scanning the QR code on the table outside the session room. If there are no QR codes on the table outside the room or no presentation in the app, that means it is not available for the session. Any questions? So let's get started. So again, my name is Eric Brockmire. I'm the CEO of the Honest Water Filter Company, and I appreciate all of you being here. My background is I've been a plumbing contractor for 40 years. I've written code and I teach and wrote curriculum for first through fourth year apprenticeship program. Plumbing is kind of my thing. I'm very dedicated to it, and one of the things about plumbing is that water is the essence of why we go to work. It breaks it. Right? So I'm so dedicated, I tattooed it on my arm. So this is my passion, and I will continue to keep this passion as long as my 2 feet are planted on this planet. I think it's important, before we get started, that we talk about water as an issue, because a lot of us don't. We've been afraid to offer water filtration, and we know that the number one reason for that is because we don't understand how it works. I think that's usually the case in everybody's platform. We look at it as I travel around the country, and I have over 2.5 million miles traveling in airplanes going in and out of plumbing corporations to teach them how easy it is to add on a cell in water filtration. What I'm going to teach you today is just add your product in here, right? Insert product here when I go over this today. So it's important that you take some notes. I think if you take some notes, you'll find that what we've learned over the last 40 years, and my team, and what we've learned as we got together, is psychology matters, right? I always have this saying, words matter. So if we're not using the right words, we're not getting the right responses. So as we go through this presentation, we'll certainly be going over that and why words are so important. So how many of you do upsells now? Raise your hand real high. Let me ask you a question on that. How many of you, this will be interactive, so I'm going to ask questions throughout. How many of you have the upsell as a KPI on your budget line item? 1. Is that amazing? You guys don't budget for it. And this is what we've learned. If we don't put KPI or upsell line for your budget, how are you and your middle management going to continuously focus on it? You're not. It's not a priority. It's not a part. So it's important that you guys, we train and train and train. You guys have been a plumber for 40 years. You know how many vendors I've had in to train? A ton. And it's like, sell my product. But yet, what do we do as an industry? Are we training our techs properly to go through the upsell? And the reality is they're scared to death of it. That's what I have found. I'm like, you're scared to do an upsell? Yes, because they've already projected that Mrs. Jones doesn't want to talk about a water treatment product or an upgraded water heater to a tankless water heater or to add on a circ pump or add on anything else, right? So the upsell is quite important. We call that in our industry unexpected income. Wouldn't it be nice to find some money? How many of you need more money in your businesses for your bottom line? Raise your hand. Absolutely, we want more money. What are we doing to make that happen is the question, right? So what we've learned, how many of you have an official greeting that you teach your staff? Raise your hand high. How are you in a KPI, tell me how do you follow up on that to know that they're doing it? What do you do? What? Grill them? Rilla, what is Rilla? You're using Rilla? Are you utilizing it to make sure they're doing the greeting correctly and reviewing it?
There's trackers that we track on it.
Yeah, and you've taught them official greetings? Yes. So you're making sure that they do it all the time. That's amazing. Because I will tell you that I've run in and out of hundreds of places. And what I generally do is I have the managers leave the room when the technician's in, and I always say, you're not going to get in trouble for being honest here. How many of you in this room actually use the greeting? You'll be surprised to know, Gorilla, if you're using it, that's great, but none of you raise your hand because you don't know. None. The answer is none. It's shocking to me. They'll be honest with me because I'm not their manager, right? I'm outside, so they're going to tell me the truth. I will tell you, they all raise their hand. I don't use it. And then I asked a really good question. Why not? Well, they don't know. I walk up and say, everybody's different. Every house is different. You don't know. Well, I've knocked on thousands of doors and none of them are different. They all open in. All doors open in. Why are they different? Well, because we know that people answer the door are looking different, right? It's how they feel, right? And the one thing we've learned about the greeting is that the ego of the plumber gets in the way, right? And I will tell you the one thing about our industry, y'all, is this, is we're very consistent at being inconsistent. And if we're inconsistent, it's a math game, right? If we're inconsistent, they're getting good and bad. The average close on a ticket is 61%. How many would like 80? Because if you had an 80% close rate, that would change your life. It really would. And one of the things I've been doing through my life is trying to get it, because we all know the 80-20 rule. How many know the 80-20 rule? You don't know the 80-20 rule is really simple. 20% of your staff does 80% of the lifting. 80% account for 20%. Are we looking at that carefully? It is an 80-20 rule. My thing is I wanted to make it 60-40. Because if I can get them to upsell something, I will take that lower performer and push them into a 40% closing rate with them, and it changes your bottom line dramatically with that unexpected income. It's really important. So what we do is we talk about the greeting. One of the things in the greeting that we have to talk about is how do we do a greeting? And we like to give this away free, and I'm just going to do your greeting for you. How many of you have a greeting that you're in Nexstar, Certain Path? They all have a basic greeting that's basically the same, right? And how it goes is simply this, and we'll use Honest Water Plumbing just to make it happen, is you knock on the door, and the scenario is you're going in for a water heater. You know if something's wrong. The CSR, customer service rep, has told the tech there's something wrong with the water heater. The tech does not know exactly what's wrong. They just know water heater is bad, right? So they knock on the door and they go, "Hi, Mrs. Jones. I'm Eric from Honest Water Plumbing. I want you to know I understand," key words here, "I understand you have a water heater issue." They wait for the response, "Yes, I do. If you don't say these next words, you'll never get an upsell." You ready? The technician must say, "That does not surprise me. The water in this area is hard on plumbing and appliances. Am I parked okay?" There's literally a lot of psychology going into that statement right there. Couple of things. I understand means the consumer doesn't have to explain it. He already has knowledge, right? Telling the consumer that the problem already is the water. Right? Do you see how I did that? Because how do I bring up water filters later if I didn't make it a problem in the beginning? Does that make sense? So it's all about getting permission to talk about an upsell later. That's really at the close. This is where I'm going to tie it all together for you on how it actually works. And this actually does work. And then they say, okay, come in. This is where I'm different than most trainers. I don't give you a script when you're in the house. That's up to them. Every personality is different. You can give them some basic guidelines, but giving them a script they're not going to do it. They're just not. You just got to give them some insight. So we're going to start with safety inspections. How many of you do those? Free. Are they included? Where you're taking pictures under the sink just to log that there wasn't I worked on a water heater. The guy leaves and they tell you the toilet's broken. Your guy was here and you got to fix the toilet. That's BS. But if I took a picture, oh no, Mr. Jones, it wasn't broken. It's just you're aware today. That's all. Make sense? So we're taking pictures. So we're going to prevent future issues by doing that. We're going to correct current issues, make customers aware, create the credibility, right? And then build value and opportunity to upsell is the last thing. Follow? All right. Preventing future issues. It's important to let your customers know the costly that could be possible arise in the future. We want to make them aware that they potentially might have a problem in the future. How many of your safety inspections look at the angle stops and supply lines and traps? Raise your hand. How many of you turn the angle stop? One. I want you to know, stop doing that. The reason we don't turn angle stops is why?
Start leaking.
Why do they start leaking?
With packing.
What happened to the packing nut?
Deteriorated.
Deteriorated. Why did it deteriorate?
Chlorine in the water.
Water quality. We have information that we as an industry already know is that water is terrible and it made the angle stop stick. And when you turn it, you know it's going to leak, right? How many of you put angle stop replacements on every single invoice? Isn't that funny? We know that if we turn the angle stop, it's going to break. But I never put it on my invoice as an option later. That, folks, is an upsell. Two reasons I do it. We know it's going to break. We already know now that the water quality caused it to stick. If I don't put it on my sheet, as an estimate, as an opportunity, I'll never get it. I'll never have the opportunity again to help change an angle stop because we all know that in an emergency, the consumer's going to go in and turn it, it's going to get worse, and this is why restoration companies market you. Why are they marketing you? Because you're the first ones in there and they go turn a broken angle stop, it breaks, and they want you to call them, and then they pay you for the lead. I know how this game works, right? But it was a knowledge. We know that it's broken. Why aren't we talking about it? Think about it for a minute. I'm going to go through it all with the options, right? But if I put down as an option to replace angle stops in the future, now your CSR has something to do when it's slow. Hey, Mrs. Jones, I saw that Johnny put down that your angle stops were worn and old and might need to be replaced. Is that something you like to do today? And then you get to spiff the CSR for getting the job. But she can't do her job if it isn't an option on the sheet. Would you agree or disagree? Right? You would agree because water makes it what? Water broke it. Right? So we're giving this whole thing about upsells is, are we doing our part to do that? Upon a plumbing inspection, you notice the corrosion on pipes, faucets, fixtures. Customers a hard water issue that is ruining their components. You guys see it every day. And how many of you are offering water treatment as an option on every call? Because every call, if water broke it, it broke it. Agreed or disagree? Are we giving our team an opportunity to fix things correctly? I call it love the one you're with. Or are you in your business pushing your technicians to hurry up and get to the next call because you're stacked up? And in your mind, I'm losing revenue, when in reality, a mistake is going to happen. And the reality is, if I love the one I'm with, I'm going to make a lot more money. It's crazy how this industry works. I've been doing this 40 years. I'm pushing my techs, and I'm having to run 8 calls a day. 3 at the most. Prefer 2. There's enough work. You aren't in that house again. You go to a house once. When's the next time you're going to be in it?
Something breaks.
When something breaks, what's the average time you get back in a home? Anybody know? Once you go in, you fix something and you leave, it's 6 years. That's the average. Why wouldn't I want to love the one I'm with? And I'm going to love the one I'm with because when something does go back in 6 years and I put my sticker everywhere and some brace go, that guy was great, I'm going to call that number. It's all about marketing when you leave. See, no one remembers when you showed up. Not a customer in the world remembers when you knocked on the door. What they remember is when you left. How you leave is so critical. So critical. When we make them aware, we're just giving them knowledge. Would you agree? We're not selling anything yet. We're not offering anything. We're just making them aware of problems. And this is really important. When we do that, we create credibility, right? If your customer trusts you in turn, you will have credibility. Remember, this is a stressful time for your customer, and they need some comfort. You know, it's kind of funny. I like to teach you got to be smiling as a technician because when they call you, that customer did not get up, hit the floor with their feet, feel water, and go, wow, I'm so excited. I get to call my favorite plumber today. Right? And oh, I can't wait to spend $5,000 with John. He's going to be great. He's so grateful. I'm so happy to do it. They're pissed off. Would you agree? So we as an industry, it's very challenging in understanding that the technicians already are doing their best to make a customer calm down. And so words become really important when you're wanting to calm someone down. And one of those things I would teach my plumbing technician is, don't worry, Mrs. Jones, we're going to make sure we get this fixed today. That statement must be said in any presentation. Do not worry, Mrs. Jones, we are going to get this fixed today. That's assurance. That is comfort. And you might sit there and say, well, yeah, for how much? Right? You may think that's what they're not. They're just thinking, oh God, I'm going to get it fixed. We'll deal with the value later. So building value. A quality of plumbers and its repairs, customers home, they want repairs done right the first time, right? It's always terrible if you have a callback. Would you agree? It actually diminishes your value as a plumbing contractor in your community. It gets around. Mrs. Smith and Mrs. Jones are in the shopping mall. They're buying groceries and you're going to have to walk past them eventually. So you want to make sure you do it right the first time. It's really important for these small companies that are in small towns. If you're even in a big company, your guys are wearing their logo shirts in grocery stores. I want you to know that. So it's a full-time business of advertising on billboards as they walk around. That's really important. Go back one. Opportunity to upsell. If during your safety inspections, guys, you find problems, it's important to put that down as options, right? You've got to let them know. And making your customer aware and building trust and credibility and value paves the way. Well, paving the way is really good along the way, but it all starts at the door. It all starts at the door. Okay? And so that greeting, I can't stress it enough, is so very important to get it started, right? Because all of you budget for what I call the call of the day, right? Based on your year over year, right? You look at your total gross, you look at the number of calls. When you're going to go to the next year's budget, you want to increase by 10%. You have to look at your call volume and go, am I going to increase that by 10%? You budgeted on the call of the day. Did your money grow? And what was the cost of that 10% growth? Another truck? That's outlay of cash. Another sewer machine, another camera, another program, another plumber who you train and then leaves. There's a cost to that, right? So it's really important that if we have excess unexpected income, we can afford that to a degree, right? So teaching our 80 percenters, right, to do more is important. That's how we shift to the 60-40. Because your 20 percenters are always going to do what they always done. They're just naturally good at that. What products to consider? This is where I say in the greeting insert, like who does mostly sewers? Right? People say to me all the time, how do I transition to a water product on a sewer call? How do we do that? How many of you put a camera in a drain line? Everybody inspects the drain line. What do you see other than water and sewage and cockroaches and everything under the sun you found in a sewer with a camera? You'll see a white water line. Am I right? We know that's what? Calcium carbonate. Not a bicarbonate, it's actual carbonate, right? So if we see that white line, well, Mrs. Jones, I'd like to take a look at the sewer. Watch the transition. Notice this white line here? That's the quality of your water in here. It's dry and so it's very hard and it's deteriorating your plumbing system. Like I said when I greeted you, water is one of the essence of why this is backing up. See all that tuberculite on it? That's in cast iron, right? That's iron bacteria growing from the quality of your water. We have solutions for that with water quality products I'm going to present to you at the end if that'll be okay with you. But that's part of your problem here. And see this bump or this hole? We need to move forward with whatever you're doing, lining, see this break, we can fix it, we don't have to dig it up. You can go on with any other explanation, but at the end of the day, I talked about what? Water. Because water broke it. And we need to fix the thing that broke the thing we're working on. Say that 10 times. It took me a year to figure out how to say that. So, and these are all products that can come along. Products that are profitable, products that are dependable, right? You're going to sell bio stuff, right, in the drains to keep them clear and liquefy. You know, we have this great product to add on, as I showed you all this tuberculite in the drain, is we have products that solve that issue. Again, words, solve, okay? How many do service agreements? How's your close rate on those? Anybody? If you, very good, it's not a really good answer, but I'll take it. Out of 10 calls, how many service agreements are you being sold? Anybody, just doesn't matter. How many out of 10? 2, 5, 10. How many say 2? Raise your hand. How many say 1 out of 10? Is it greater than 1? How many?
I work with multiple companies, so it just kind of varies. But I'd say like 4 to 6.
4 to 6, so 40 to 60% close rate. It's pretty decent. What if we could get it to 100? Would 100 be good? Because you're selling them for either $49.99 to $199.99, depending on what your offer is. Am I right? Somewhere in that bracket. How would you like to give it away? Knowing that it's going to pay for itself later. Would you do that? You can give it away as an offer up front, and then the year coming, they're now going to realize how good it was and pay you for it later. I'm going to invest today to get it tomorrow. Make sense? It does to me. I'll show you why. Examples of an upsell. Okay? Before we can do that, John, there we go. We have to ask a question. We call it the $1 million question. You might want to write this down. If any technicians got bold enough to do this, you'll be absolutely amazed at what happens. Because words matter. Remember I said words matter? So before any technician gives any solution of any kind, they want to say this to the consumer. Hey, Mrs. Jones, I noticed that your water heater is old and it is broken. Would you like to know what caused this? It's as simple as that. I have just given you the $1 million statement to start a conversation. Would you like to know what caused this? Because how many of you would say no? That person calling. How many of you would think that you would say no? If you're fixing your car, someone said, would you like to know what caused the belt to break today? You'd like to know. And once you know, why do you want to know? You don't ever want it to happen again. Now I've just opened up the plethora of opportunity for an upsell, right? Because now they don't want it to happen again. So it's really important. So I would say, how many of you, when you're providing a solution in this room, you give more than 1? How many give more than 2? Keep your hand up. 3. How many give 4? 5. 6. Anybody give 7? 6. I like 5 or 6. And you say to me, well, Eric, how is that possible? It's so easy. It's just I want you to think out of the box. So if we're there for a tanked water heater, what option will I give them? Tankless. I'm going to give them a tankless option, right? But I explained to them what? That water broke it. So with that first option, it's the most expensive option, I'm going to say to them, you know, I'm going to give you the option of a tankless water heater. Yes, it's more expensive, and I want you to know we're going to protect that with a water filtration. The total cost of that is X. That's your first one. Second one, we understand that you may not want to protect it at this time, but I'm going to put it down as option 2 as a tankless by itself. Right? It's option number 2. Option number 3 is the tank water heater that we call the call of the day. We're never going to lose it. Watch how I do it. Ma'am, we're going to give you the option of the call of the day, which is the tank water heater, but as you know, water causes to break, so I'm going to pair that with water filtration as well. Then option number 4 is, Mrs. Jones, option number 4 is the tank. If you can only want to do the tank today, and we want you to know, this is how they say it, we want you to know we're going to fix that today. Here's the tank cost. Right? That's number 4. Option number 5, when I was doing my inspection, I noticed that your angle stops had actual corrosion on them. You know, Mrs. Smith, we don't turn them because the water quality ruins them. So we certainly want to put those down today as an option that you do not have to do today, but we want you to know it's something you should consider in the future. So I'm going to put that down here as option number what? 5. Option number 6. Mrs. Jones, if you pick any option 1 through 3, we're going to include today our service agreement, which gives you front-of-the-line access. So if you should ever have a problem in the future, we're certainly going to take care of that within the next 2 hours of your call and make sure we get someone out there right away to help you if you choose 1 through 3. Now, if you don't choose 1 through 3 and you just want option number 4, we understand, and the cost of that is $79.99. Still, we'll put you in the front of line. That's option number 6. Do you see how easy it was for me to articulate that out? How many agree that was simple? You know, but your technicians fight that. And when I go in and train, they all go, whoa, that was easy. Because they think, oh, how am I going to give 6 options how to fix a tanked water heater? When you think about it, that kind of can be tough, right? But I just taught you all what to teach them. Those are the options. Whether you're using Norwich, Rinnai, Reliance, Paloma, whatever you're using, that's the product you use. Whatever tank, American, Reliance, Ream, Rude, God, there's so many. A.O. Smith, so many. But pick your poison, right? Pick whatever one you want to do. How many agree that was pretty simple? How many are willing to go back to your shops and implement that today? I mean, really, talk about it, because I'm here for one reason. This industry has been amazing to me. It has made me a small fortune and provided for my family. That is why I love it. But my goal to give back before I end my time is to give my wisdom back to you of what I've learned through 40 years of doing this. And it's so simple to do that we don't fight it. It's not something you should fight, because it's consistency and it's just numbers. It's just numbers. How much time do you need to spend on an upsell? How long did I just spend? You need 10 minutes? You need 30 minutes? So you know what the biggest hiccup is? Does anybody know what the biggest hiccup is? Your technician will tell you, I can't sell it because I don't know how it works. I don't understand it. I'm not going to do that. My pride's at stake here. I need to know, and I need to be prepared for the question I'm never going to get. Isn't that amazing? I have to be prepared for the question I know you're never going to get. And the one question they're most scared of is what? How does it work? Would you agree? How does anything work? How does it work? Do you guys want to know how how many of you know how a water filter works? Anybody know how a water filter works? How does it work? Simple as you can make it. How does a water filter work?
We talking about the small particle filters, we talking about pressure filters.
Water filter, period.
Take out the contaminants of the water. Take out the chemicals, take out the smell, take out,
How many of you agree that filters take out all that stuff? Raise your hand.
yeah, the first stage is paper.
First stage,
Through the paper gets all the big stuff. The second one could be charcoal.
absolutely can be a,
Smaller porous deals that gets loaded up in time. You gotta replace that part. Or you can get a cartridge that's got all of them in there.
yeah,
And if you're even luckier, you got this indicator that tells you how much pressure you're losing when it calls for water, so you know when to change it.
a pressure gauge. Brilliant. I mean, pretty good, huh? I would like someone in the audience to ask me how a water filter works.
How's a water filter work?
You know, it's a great question. It works great. I can't wait for you to utilize it and give it to you. We give a money-back guarantee, and I want you to know your family's going to be absolutely happy with it. It works fantastic. That was 15 seconds. You're all smiling going, no effing way. There isn't a customer on the planet, not one. No, really, Eric, how does it work? It's literally called a filter for a reason. Why do we as an industry overthink that? The word filter means to what? Take bad stuff out, leave good stuff in. It filters. They do not want to know the science behind. Do you think they ask you, why does a water heater weigh 40 pounds more when I take it out than when I put it in? As they see you struggle and break your back lifting a water heater going, how in the hell did it get this heavy? Now I want you to think about that for just 2 seconds like I did in my windshield time. Why is a water heater weigh more when I take it out than when I put it in? Oh shit. There's crap in water that deposited in my water heater. Holy crap, shouldn't I filter that? Do you see the tie-in as we as plumbers start to overthink what we're doing? And all my goal is to do is simplify it. Get your brain out of the circle and into the box. You follow? Because we get caught up in the know-hows and I need no more and blah, blah, blah. You don't. If you want to, you can come to us and we'll tell you exactly the science if it makes you feel better. But at the end of the day, the consumer's never going to ask you. And if they do, call me. Because you don't know, right? You don't know how we produce it or how we put it together. If they want to know how we make microdust or how we actually press it together or how we insert it, how we spin. You see what I'm saying? They don't want to know all that. What they really want to know is, do you trust it? Do you believe in it? And if you believe in it and give the warranty behind it, which we do for you, you're going to offer it every single time. No means no. Don't waste my time. But yeah.
I just want to explain to them, the difference between your point of use and your whole household.
Say that one more time.
I mean, if you want to explain the difference between the point of use and a whole house filter, because I mean, there's definitely a lot of different dynamics there.
Nope, no different. A whole house filter filters all the water in the house. For every tap gets quality water. A single POU, point of use, filters water for one single device. It only gets filtered water here.
That's a few $1,000s difference.
That's different. That's different. We're not talking the difference between price. We're talking about the difference between how it works. They literally work the same. The dollar part I'll go over. Like, how do we compensate for that, right? That's actually pretty damn easy, to be honest. Okay? No means no. How many of you agree no means no? And what does no mean? What?
No right now.
No right now. What else does it mean? What'd you say?
Need more information.
Need more information. What else does no mean? Just fix what you came to fix today. Okay, I can do that. And that's in your budget. So no is probably okay. Don't get wrapped up in the no is what we want to say. Right? All right, Mrs. Smith, no problem. I'll be sure to put this down. And may we call you later to talk about upgrades that we've left on the options on your sheet later. Yes, that'll be fine, but I need to get to work today. Right? I need you to hurry. Right? So don't get wrapped up in no. Here's a big thing we deal with is margins. Right? We talk about all the time, how do we price an upsell? Right? How do we do it? What matrix are you using today to price the unexpected income? Because I know how many use a 65-point margin multiplier to figure out your call of the day? 1.5 times. Or are you guessing?
Depends on how much it is.
Well, what's the math? Doesn't matter what it is. What's your math?
Well, I mean, if something's less than 30 bucks, I'm gonna triple it.
You're going to triple, so that's your math. Times 3.
Times 3, yeah. If it's 100, or if it's more over 30, but less than, 500 or whatever, I'll double it.
You're just doubling it. You don't even consider your overhead or margins or what it costs to do the job?
Just for the part.
That's just for the part. What about labor? That's what I'm asking.
Oh, labor, 250 an hour, 225, depends,
But do you have a matrix you use, though, is what I'm saying? Do you have a calculation you insert cost, and then it spits out the number?
we have any pricing most of the time.
Okay, so you all use a program, right? Are you-
We came up with it from just industry standards.
Industry standards. Who else uses, how many use a program to price your stuff, right? Here's your price book, right? So you know when you price up a water heater, you're pricing it for what reason? Call of the day. Literally, that's your call of the day. The project is, I'm getting called out for a water heater. I need to make sure my technicians have that in their book. They know what a 50-gallon natural gas water heater costs. Here's what it comes with. If they want to upgrade it, here's what it comes with, and it's in the book, right? But it's the call of the day. Now your guy's done so good, he's got to add on an upsell of a product. How did you price that? Did you change it? Did you lower the margin because he's already there so it doesn't have to include overhead, time, travel? So what we find a lot of times is you all are overpricing it and you're saying it's the call of the day and he upsold it. I'm saying a penny today is worth more than no penny tomorrow, right? So I'm saying when you do your upsells, lower your expectation of margin because it's already there. He's loving the one you're with. So if you're pricing a product, he's on a $2,800 water heater and he sold an upgrade, let's say, of a water filter or a recirc pump, right? And you priced it as though it was the normal breakdown of cost, he's going to have a tougher time selling that because it's too high. But I don't want it to be too low because anybody can sell anything cheap, right? But if I'm right in the middle of an unexpected income, this is where I talked about your budgets not having a line item, right, for it. You have to have a line item for it in order to understand what do I want to make from that upsell. Because we don't think about that. All we think about is the opportunity. Remember, these young men and women that are in this industry are the face of your company and they are not professional salespeople. They have to be able to create the value and opportunity for you as owners to sell it as an upsell. So we got to give them the tools to do so, right? The tools we get to give them are, one of them is literally cost. If you're expecting them to sell a $10,000 filter after they've sold a $2,800 water heater, you ruined their lives. They're not going to do it. Even if you incentivize it at 50%, they're going to try, but they're always going to fail because what value are they giving it? So it's really tough. So we like to say to you, make it at 50 to 55 points of margin. Just slightly below your call of the day we think is appropriate for you. We'd rather that you get the call instead of lose the call. Now you talk about what's compensation. Well, you're already paying them a commission, right? Or you're paying them hourly. Either way. Are you putting a spiff on the upsell? No, you haven't put spiffs on upsells because you don't have it in your budget. But what you will do is you will actually, if you find like during the year, oh, water filters are great. Oh, the recirc pump is great. We're going to spiff that today. For anybody that sells one, you get the first $100, whatever it is. But if it's an upsell item, line item, you know now what you can compensate. You know what's available if they sell it because you've done the math in your business for that upsell. Does that make sense? Because you don't want to over-spiff it. Right? Because if you overspiff something, guess what? You're going to lose more on the call of the day. You know that, right? Because what are they chasing? The bigger spiff. And when you chase the bigger spiff, you're not focusing on the call of the day, and that is our budget. We always say, don't chase our products or don't chase the upsell in order to lose the call of the day. We don't want you to do that. Our whole mission is to make sure that you sell the call of the day and have the opportunity for the upsell properly and then spiff on that. Make sense? Because we find that if you chase that dollar, your tech will chase the bigger dollar. And overall, at the end, he will lose because he's not selling the call of the day. He'll get a no. right? Because then he starts talking about the consumer will then go, well, you came here to sell, you're pushing so hard on the water filter, or you're pushing so hard on the recirc pump. I'm not doing anything with you, you charlatan. You know what I mean? So it's a very balanced way to do it, and you want to make sure it's part of the process. Why are you guys in business?
Make money.
You make money, right? The reality is to get back and make money. So we want you to make sure that you are making money and deal with that unexpected income so you can improve your business opportunities, right? Investments, and provide better equipment, trucks, tools, and everything else to your staff so they appreciate you more and they won't leave. Because guys, how many of you have plumbers come and going all the time now? Like we know, we're around the industry. The hardest thing right now is to do what? Find a good employee. How do we get them to stay? Right? We have to be professional, and we give them an opportunity to be professional and to improve their lives by how we operate our businesses. By giving them nice uniforms, those nice trucks, not beat up, raggedy old things, holding them accountable for the neatness of their trucks, giving them pride and a reason to stay because they love it as a family. Does it make sense? So do you increase profits, spend more on marketing, hire more technicians, get more out of existing calls? I mean, we all are wondering, how do we get the calls to ring? Well, if you're in a time in the world where you're not getting as many calls, wouldn't an upsell be nice? Isn't that the reality, is being able to get more on the call? So we think marketing isn't really always the issue. We think love the one you're with happens to be the issue. You can do less marketing and make more profit if we teach them properly how to do upsells and use words that matter. Agree or disagree? Because we all don't want to throw money at marketing because that's a guess. That's the one thing I know as an owner I hated. God, you give me a matrix, man. I don't know if it's going to work either, right? So if I want to spend X to get my name in the community, I don't want to keep spending it. I want what to happen? Word of mouth, repeat customers, right? That's what we really are going after. You have 11,000 customers in your data bank. You want 11,000 absolutely to only call you all the time. So do a good job in the beginning, right? Keep them in your wheelhouse so that they can produce more money for you. For plumbing owners, accountability. Who holds you accountable, owners?
Customer.
Customers, who else?
IRS.
IRS. Your technicians, do you allow them to hold you accountable too? Right? It's really important. I know one of the biggest challenges I had as a plumbing owner is I had no one to bitch to. No one feels my pain, right? No one's there after 6 o'clock at night with me sitting there in front of my bank statements and, you know, my insurance bill and my truck bill and my fuel bill and my uniform bill and on and on and on and go, how am I going to do this, right? And pay myself. Pay me. Well, one of the things I will tell you that I learned very early on was the upsell was key to paying myself more. Right? It was key to it. And that's why I got into this business, was to teach you all how I figured that out. And I will tell you that in my business model, if an angle stop was not on there as an option, they were a little bit in trouble. Because we all know that angle stops always need to be replaced, and we're not talking about it. We're only going out there if they went to turn it off and the handle snapped. And then they're going to call you to replace it, right? And they turn the handle off, why? This is how opportunity works. Because they went to Home Depot to replace the faucet, right? Weekend warrior. And the woman or the man went under, turn it off to start the process, and it broke, and they're like, oh shit. And they end up calling you. Now the opportunity is open. I get to talk about all the other angle stops. I get to say, you know, while I'm here, won't you let me put that faucet in for you? You know, now you know the water quality in the area is really rough on plumbing and appliances. Can we talk about how we fix that with you today? Since you went to do it all yourself, I want to give you the opportunity as well to know that we can provide solutions for you today, Mrs. Jones. Do you see how that worked out? It's an opportunity. Are we teaching our techs to talk like that? Because what I'm talking to you is very normal. Literally, I'm using 6th grade stuff. I'm not talking like I'm college educated. I'm literally telling you how I am as a 12th grade educated person. After 40 years figuring out language and really focusing on what does and what doesn't work psychology-wise, right? I was really interested in that, and that's where I come from, and I'm here today to teach you all that. Final thoughts. At the end of the day, to be successful is much more than just picking a great product. What are some of the things that make you great? What are some of the things that you have to do to be successful?
Work hard.
Work hard, what else? What's the one thing in your business, about your business, that is most important to you?
You gotta know your numbers.
Know your numbers. Who else? Y'all own business, y'all. It's personal too. What's important to you?
Providing a great experience.
Providing a great experience, absolutely. What else? Integrity. For me, that's a great one. Mine was moral integrity. Doing the right thing when no one's looking. Making sure I do the best job available that's available to me and my knowledge to be able to do so. And knowing that if I didn't know how to do something, I didn't bullshit my way through it. I literally called someone who did know so that I can do it properly. Right? I always, when I have a bunch of technicians, I go, how many of you have worked on a faucet and didn't know how to work on it when you went there? And I go, how many of you told the customer you've worked on 100 of them? I know I did that. I had never seen it before, and I would say, yeah, I've done 100 of these. Now, why would I do that? I know y'all done it, so it doesn't bother me. Huh?
Customer confidence.
Confidence in myself and my customer, but here's what I knew what I was going to do. I was going to take it apart and lay the pieces out in the exact order I took them out. So I knew that if I couldn't find the repair part, I can at least put it back, give them the drip back, and give me time to come back the next day and set up to replace the valve. That's what I learned how to do, right? And they're like, wow, okay, I actually gave it a whirl. I actually gave it effort to fix it, and I couldn't. And I created confidence. It really is broke. We're absolutely going to have to replace it. Here's the cost for a new one. And it worked every time because it's much simpler. I'm not going to go chase down a bonnet nut for a faucet that's 50 years old. As a matter of fact, find one. You'll be lucky, right? So at the end of the day, it's creating what? Value to my customer. All right, so I've given you a lot. What's really important to us today is that you spent some time here. And we want to know, as a team, how many of you got something important out of today that you didn't have before you came in today? How many of you learned something today? It's really important to us that you get some value out of training. The reason I say that, y'all, it's really simple. When we train as owners, we bring people in to train them. And really rule number one, no donuts. Stop bringing donuts and breakfast to your technicians in training. Do you know why? Bring fruit. Why? When we give them carbs, what do? I don't care about what he's saying. I just want to get him. Don't do it. Be prepared to train. Provide them with a notebook and pencil. Right? Give them that. And then set the expectation. How many of you set the expectation before every training in your shop? And can you explain to me what the expectation is? How many do that? Anybody? Or you just say, hey, we have this coming on this Thursday at 7 o'clock. I want you all to be here. So-and-so's coming in to train us. Have a nice night. How many do that? And they all straggle in. I can't tell you how many times I show up to a train, all the plumbers are straggling. Some are 2 minutes late, some are 5 minutes late. And you know what I know at that point in time? Do you know what I know? They're not going to learn. They're going to go through what I call the motions. Right? They're going to go through the motions of being here. And so what I want to tell you is this, as a trainer myself and training over 500,000 techs, it's really important that you walk into your room with the expectation of learning. You got to remember, these people have been so far away from learning, from school and from college, that they literally forgot how. So how many had to carry your books in high school? Everybody. How many of you had to have a notebook when you went to your class? Everybody. Do you think they remember that shit? Nope, they're going through the motions. But if I said the day before train, hey guys, I want you to know, Eric's coming in tomorrow to train. Here's my expectation, is that you're on time, that you have your notebook ready to go and take notes. This guy is very valuable to you. You have to say that. He's very valuable. He's going to give you some nuggets and some wisdom that you can use for the rest of your career, and hopefully that you'll make more money. So it's important to me that you actually sit, listen, and ask good questions. He wants to know so he can help you learn. That is his only goal, is to give back to you. How many are okay with that? Most will be raise their hand. And any of you that don't want to be here for the training, let me know today. It's okay. You can go out and do your job and let them earn revenue. That's fine too, because what we find is 2/3 of the people in the room for training don't even freaking want to be there. They literally want to be out in the field, and my goal as an owner, if I'm an owner, I'm going to let them go out in the field. But I'm only going to let them do what their limitations are, and that's fine with them. But I want the people in the class that want to improve their time and energy and brains to become better technicians for you as a business owner. Would that be nice? Awesome. All right, I have 5 minutes left. Anybody have any questions? Sure.
So right off the bat, when you were saying, like, I understand, I'm not surprised that your water heater broke, there's really hard water heater. I understand, like, if you're used to that region, you've already done that, but as a homeowner, like, my expectation for my technicians is you perform a water quality test with the homeowner on every single job. Do you ever find panic of, like, well, I shouldn't have hard water, I have a water heater, or, like, do you find any pushback for that?
No, 15 years ago, I was training to do the test, but with the advent of the internet and knowledge and knowing that people don't drink their tap water, people already know that their water's bad. Inside, they don't drink it anyway. 92% of people do not drink tap water. So when we think about that, they already know the water's bad. Do I really need to insult them by saying it's bad when they already know? I say, as a plumber, like your doctor, right? When I'm at the door, I have credibility. If I'm in my uniform, I look good. And I say to them, that doesn't surprise me. The water in this area is really tough on plumbing and appliances. I gave them knowledge that I already have it. Do I need to show them? Because it's time, right? And if I teach them, and then I have to teach them once I get it to be pink or I get it to be yellow, right? That's the way tests work. I now have to articulate the why. And that, I didn't come here to do that. I came here as a technician to fix your problem. But if I start here with the water test, I'm now in an uncomfortable bait and switch, right? I want to make it's okay to do it after, but I would never do it before. You could say in the solution part, when I say to them, like I said at the front door, your water's really tough on plumbing appliance as it is here, would you like me to show you? That's where I would do it. But I would never do it up front because I didn't come there to do that. I came there to fix their stuff. Make sense?
Yeah, I just didn't know.
Yeah, it's the methodology. When do I do it?
Yeah.
Right? It's a good question.
Hey, Eric, there's websites now available too. One of them that a lot of companies use is called ewg.org.
Yeah.
You can type in a zip code for the municipality that they're in. It's an independent third party that monitors all municipality reports. Every municipality has to let people know what's in their water once a year. So to Eric's point, we already know what's in city water. It's wells that will get into other testing. And if you work with us, we coach you how to do that because you won't just put one system on every well. Every well is different, so we like to see a report. But for city water, we already know what's in it, and you can treat that out of the box. But it's a great question.
It's a great question. Any other questions?
When you're doing your training, you utilize the financing also?
Do we what?
Utilize financing when you're doing the training with the guys?
Yeah, if you want to utilize, if you are a corporation that utilizes the financing, we'll integrate that into the training on how to offer with the finance, right? But we don't offer financing. That's up to you as an individual if that's what you're doing. And we think that's important. We think you should, as a corporation, offer finance to the consumer because what we know is they're conditioned to payments. They're literally conditioned to make a payment, not make a bulk purchase, right? That is our society today. No car dealer advertises the $40,000 truck. They offer it at $562, payment. They never offer a $40,000 truck, right? If you read the ad, the really small print, it will tell you how much it is, or you can't even read it. That's a law. That's a required to do that. But at the end of the day, when you're giving payments, this is how much it is a month, and then you have to put the total gross below it and give them an option. Because some people like to use their credit cards and get points. Never miss the opportunity. It's a good question. What else? Any other questions? Yeah.
In my area, our water is honestly pretty good, so I like the wording to set the stage, I guess.
Yeah.
I feel like, I said, in my area, I don't think any water anywhere is perfect, obviously.
Right.
Ours is generally pretty good. Is there maybe a different wording that I could possibly use, or something that kind of sets the stage maybe?
So when you say my water's pretty good, but you're there fixing something, what are you saying?
Like, when I greet somebody, of course, I introduce myself and say, hey, I'm here to, do this water heater. I'm here to, check it your water heater. You say you have a problem
It's-
with it,
Yeah.
And then, of course, check it, but it wasn't long ago, I saw a water heater tank type, it's 28 years old.
Yep, the oldest I've seen is 32, yeah.
Yeah, it's getting pretty old, so it's not uncommon in my area to see 20 plus year old tank water heater.
Right.
But obviously, it's still not perfect water. But
Right.
I'm curious if there's something, somebody in my situation where, I could say that, I just don't feel people are gonna.
They literally, but think about it this way, you're there fixing something that broke, right? And if it's a water heater, water eventually broke it. So at the end of the day, still, in that case, you might have naturally soft water. I'd have to talk to you afterwards and find out what your area is, and then give you verbiage to work through that. No problem to do that. I can definitely alter the greeting, but always water is the reason you're there. Water did break it. It may taste good, but it's still aggressive and still hurting the plumbing over time.
I think in our area, the biggest thing is more the chlorine side, like some.
Yeah, chlorine levels are high, 4 parts per million. It's a lot. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
So they put fluoride in the water. It's not the type that goes, that your dentist is going to use.
It's F9, yeah.
Hydrofluorosiliceous acid.
Yep, yep.
And so is that worse than the chlorine and the calcium and the hard set? I mean,
It's a
I
really,
hear they have to replace their own damn pipes.
yeah, I hear you. It's a real touchy topic.
Yeah.
It's a 50-50. The EPA does not require fluoride. Fluoride into your water is done by your local municipality, voted on by your city council. It is not a requirement for water quality. It's an add-on product that's supposed to be good for your teeth. Us as adults do not need it, but the only downside and the biggest argument for it is, why am I consuming it and how much am I consuming? Because it's diluted into the stream of water. We don't know. So why the hell is it in my water? Right? I'd rather give it to my child or to me through my toothpaste. And I can control that because I'm spitting it out, not swallowing it. Next question is, does your product remove fluoride? No, we don't say the word remove. It's really important. There are 2 words I want you to remember. Reduces and removes. We never use the word remove. We always say it reduces. When you make a claim, now you can with some of our products make a claim of remove, but it has to be certified to do it. So that's really important. Research your products you're choosing and make sure they're approved for performance and not for structural integrity. That's really a big deal. So whatever product you use, make sure it's been tested for its performance by a third-party organization like NSF, like IATMO, like CE, like UPC, IPC. All of those have organizations that test for more than just the structural integrity, but for its performance of what it will and will not remove. Be careful of the marketing out there. What you'll hear some people say is carbon removes this. What they stop saying and don't say is ours does this. They say carbon does this. They're not saying theirs does this. Okay?
When I was in the Navy, we had reverse osmosis in the ship to supply fresh water for the whole ship.
Oh, yeah.
Is there-
Desalinating is what they're doing.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
It was the diaphragm, and it's got the whole, is there a system like that for a whole house?
Well, yeah, so ultrafiltration is the best product for that, so it doesn't change pH. You can do RO systems for a house, but it does become challenging because you have to use calcite. What happens in RO is it makes it more acidic.
Okay.
So when you make water acidic, it will eat pipe. So in order to compensate for that, you have to put back in calcite. Just so everyone knows, to make it easy, calcite is a giant Tums bottle. That's all it is. It's Rolaids on steroids. Okay? So they're putting that back in to neutralize the acid to make it more balanced. Okay? Another word you'll hear in water is turbidity. How many of you heard the word turbidity? It's a fancy word for dirt. It's how dirty is your water. It has a lot of turbidity in it. TDS, total dissolved solids. That is, like, how many of you heard zero water? The pictures, like Brita, zero. They give you a meter, right, that says, oh, TDS is too high, it's dangerous. Please don't believe that stuff. We don't know what the TDS simply tells us the conductivity of water. How fast electricity will go through will determine how many minerals are in the water, because the more minerals, the faster it will move, right? So it's a meter which measures conductivity, not what the TDS is. Okay? Well, guys, I have to wrap it up. Thank you very much. I'm happy to stay back and listen. I hope you all enjoyed it. Thanks for coming.